CJ Stroud and Caleb Williams get to play in the first of hopefully many great quarterback matchups here, as the sophomore QB from last year's class, who's probably the best QB from last year's class, going up against arguably the best QB up in this rookie class here, as the Chicago Bears fly down to Houston for the Week 2 Sunday night football matchup. Ryan and I, we are going to break down the entire game, the matchups that you need to look out for, and at the very end of the video, provide our predictions. But before we do that, if you have not already, go ahead and help out the channel by subscribing to the Tracy Take. And while you're at it, leave a like and a comment on who you think is going to win this game. With all the Week 1 prediction videos, we nearly got 100 new subscribers. So thank you to everybody that new subscribed. But for these Week 2 prediction videos, let's see if we can break that 100 new subscriber threshold here. And any help is greatly appreciated. And so, Brian, talking about the Bears and the Texans here, almost kind of like a tale of two cities when it comes to how you win a football game. Texans, I think, had a great kind of overall team performance against a good division rival in the Indianapolis Colts. And the Bears, a win's a win. You know, you'll take it. You'll take any win that you can get here. I'm looking at it right now, 148 yards of total team offense. That's pretty impressive. I kind of actually want to go back and look to see when the last time somebody had less than 150 total yards of offense and won the game. I'd be curious about that.
Probably the Chargers-Patriots game last year.
It was that's fair. Okay, I bet it happens more often than that's fair. I bet it happens more often than I realize, because there's some horrible even the Patriots-Bills windy game. I bet that one.
Oh yeah, Josh Allen threw for like 150 yards there. Like threw.
And you guys ran for like.
Yeah, we ran for like
200 yards. Yeah, so never mind. Yeah. So maybe we'll see. I don't know. That's a separate video. But this one though, I think what kind of shined for the Bears here. In winning this out. Obviously, the first half, let's not even worry about the first half. You get down, I think it was 17-0 or 17-3 at halftime. And first week of the season, first start for your first round pick overall against, frankly, to be fair, a good Titans defense. Mike Vrabel, who's I know is not the coach, but I feel like no matter how little or not little talent there was on that team, on the defense side of the ball, they kept performing, and they have a good defensive front as well. So I could see it being tricky for a rookie QB. Second half of the team, though, I think the offense started to play a little bit better, but particularly the defense, though, they capitalized on some turnovers, and they were able to make some good plays on the defensive side of the ball and contain the Titans overall. Texans, on the flip side, though, they had an amazing game. They had 400 total yards of offense, 200 passing. Team passing by CJ Stroud, 213, which is the more scary number in my opinion, of rushing yards with Joe Mixon and company. But overall, good performance, good defense performance as well against an explosive Colts team. What do you think of both of the Bears and the Texans kind of after their Week 1 matchup?
Yeah, I thought, looking at the Bears, obviously with Caleb Williams and him being a rookie quarterback in his first start, there's going to be a pretty major learning curve. Even coming from the preseason to Week 1, there's just a really big learning curve in what he has seen and will know. And so I thought his performance was pretty indicative of that. Completed just under 50% of his passes for like 150 yards or something. And actually, no, it was like 98 yards. And so that was a tough performance. But again, it's first start for a rookie quarterback. And that offense, I think, is just going to struggle because of that. And then once he proves that he can make plays and do things, I think defenses will respect the passing game a little bit more. But I felt Tennessee had more players in the box than normal just because they were making Caleb Williams try to beat them. And so I think the offense struggled. As a whole, on the defensive side, I thought they did a pretty good job. They regrouped themselves pretty well, I think, after giving up 17 points in that game. And then, I have to throw in special teams. Block punt, had a really big impact on that game as well. So, all in all, just a really, I think, a well-rounded team win. You can win games in multiple ways, and I think the Bears did a good job there. Whereas I felt the Texans, they did a good job of putting up a lot of points. I felt that defense struggled at times with the weapons that Indianapolis posed. Anthony Richardson probably being the main one. There were a few times he was just able to out-athlete people, put his shoulder down and run in for a 2 or 3 yard touchdown. And there were just some plays that you can't quite stop just because sometimes the other team just is better. But I think they made enough plays on the defensive side of the ball, coupled that with a really good offensive performance, and you get a win. So a little bit of a, like you said, tale of two sides there. But I think this is going to be an interesting matchup, and I am excited to kind of see how it plays out on Sunday night.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fun Sunday night football matchup here. A lot of expectations for both teams. I think a lot of optimism. I think that's a better word, optimism, because even if the Bears don't make the playoffs, I still think they're heading in the right direction overall. But kind of before we get down into more of the matchups here within this game here, if you do like to put a couple bucks down on the Bears or Texans game, go ahead and check out the link down below. BetUS has a bunch of great promotions going on right now, and you can check out the odds for the games coming up here in week 2. And it's one of the things too, going into the odds here as well. It's going to be a lot of fluctuation, I feel, kind of going into Sunday night. That being said, though, Houston at home going up against a team that only put up 148 total yards of offense, and it maybe had to get a little lucky that the Titans collapsed a little bit. It'd be hard for me to see the Texans are not at least 3.5 point favorites. I think coming into this game here, and it's going to be interesting on how this improved Bears defense, and it's going to be a much tougher defense that the Texans are going to go up against than what the Colts were on week 1 here, especially in the secondary, because with Tyreek Stevenson, just for example, is already major improvement over anything that the Colts have. But how are the Bears?
Top Jalen Johnson is their corner that just got paid.
Yeah. Oh no, that's what I was saying. So even just him alone is already better than whatever the Colts have.
Oh yeah.
But how are they going to match up against this now 3-headed monster receiving room? And that's just receiving room, not including Dalton Schultz or Joe Mixon as well. But just for example, though, Nico Collins, 8 targets, 6 catches, 117 yards. Tank Dell, 7 targets, 3 catches for 40 yards. Stephon Diggs, 6 targets, 6 catches, and a touchdown. 2 touchdowns, actually, for 33 yards. Mixon, Dalton Schultz, they both had 3 targets, also 3 catches, 19, 16 yards apiece. Just very, very spread out. And that's what's crazy about this offense. And Joe Mixon ran for 159 yards. So they are going to be going up against a much better Bears defense. I don't think Joe Mixon is going to be able to run for 159 yards. But they have enough balance, though, and enough talent where you can't just put 8 guys in the box to stop the run because then they'll burn you deep. But then you got to have pressure up front. You got to be able to stop the run. Or they're just going to do that and open up play action and hit Nico Collins or Tank Dell or Stephon Diggs deep. And so how do you think the Bears are going to be able to kind of combat this Texans offense?
Yeah, I think the Bears will do a pretty good job. I think in the trenches, they kind of run that 3-4, or honestly, they almost run it similar to New England, where it's like a 5-2, and they just have like 5 linemen instead of 2 outside linebackers per se. It's like those guys are almost always going with Montez Sweat and co. So I think they'll do a decent job. Running against a 5-man front is a lot more difficult than running against a 4-man front for obvious reasons. Because it's one-on-one blocks and kind of have to people have to win in those one-on-one matchups. So that'll make that, I think, a little bit more difficult. I think they'll do a decent job of getting pressure on CJ Stroud as well. The Colts did that today as well, or on Sunday. And so I think like that I'm not as worried about. To me, it's the longevity and can this offense keep this defense out of bad situations, like keep from giving turnovers or just keep them off the field for an extended period of time so that they can get a rest and kind of recuperate a little bit throughout the game. And that to me, I think is going to be the key. So let's get into predictions now. And I'm going with the Houston Texans. I think they're just going to be the more experienced team here. I think this defense, while it gave up a lot of points to Indianapolis, they still had some highlights that could be more game altering against a less experienced team like the Chicago Bears. And so I think that'll be kind of the big matchup is just the overall experience.
Yeah, I think that's going to be my thing as well here, because I think one of the issues too as well that kind of caught the Bears off guard, especially in the beginning half of the Titans game, was just seemed like there was times we had good pressure on Caleb Williams and kind of confusing him with just some of the blitz packages kind of going up in some of their zone schemes. I think the Texans, have a better defense as well. I talk about how the Texans are going to be going up against a better defense. I think the Bears are going to be going up against a better defense as well with Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter, and company.
Derek Stingley Jr.
Yeah, Derek Stingley Jr. as well. And so I think that's going to even be a tough matchup. Then being first game on the road here on Sunday Night Football, it's going to be a unique environment. I think it's going to be a fun game. I still think that I can see Caleb Williams having a season very similar to what CJ Stroud had last year. And this being kind of a similar week 2 type game that the Texans had last year, where they're still just trying to get their sea legs because there's a lot of talent on this team. And it just might take a couple weeks, for them to fully get their confidence and to get into their rhythm. And confidence might not be the right word. I think a couple weeks to get their experience and to understand kind of what their game plans are and get the full speed or just full recognition of the speed of playing on Sunday, essentially. So it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be neat seeing these two quarterbacks who will probably not be the last time that they play each other. On
Definitely
Sunday night. I think throughout their careers, because both are just amazing players. So I'm also going with Houston here. I think it's going to be like a 31-17.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think Caleb Williams gets his first passing touchdown, though. Like, I think there's signs of progress and development there. I just think the Texans are going to be a better overall team here. So let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. We are both taking the Texans in this matchup. Go ahead and like and subscribe. It is the best way to help out the channel. And while you're at it, leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Chicago Bears? Will it be the Houston Texans? And that we'll see you guys next time.